Hey, welcome back to Maritime Foam. I'm Anthony. I'm a big fan of Meaker arms. And despite all of the cool things that he's made, this little one here is actually, I think, one of the neatest. Just very, very simple. Uses some surgical tubing. You tie it on, mess around with it a little bit to get the length just right. Drop in a dart, and you actually get pretty decent performance. This is a neat little blaster. I've printed a bunch out for the kids. They think it's very cool. I mean, there are no internals. It's neat. So when I saw the Meaker Skeleton Key, I knew I had to print it and add it to a blaster. I'm going to show you, it's not the most in-depth how-to guide, but I'm going to show you how to set up your Meaker MKSK or Skeleton Key. It comes with Picatinny rail or Nerf and Strike rail attachments, and I thought this would go really well on my favorite blaster. So now this thing, and this is actually my first Masterkey thing that I've done. I don't tend to, a lot of the games that I do, I tend to run, so I haven't done a lot of stuff with shields really. A lot of my Mega love just comes from, I like firing the big goofy rounds, same as Mega XL, but I am hoping to work more and more different ammo types and things like that into scenarios as time goes on. What a neat blaster profile I think this is now. It works very well. I don't know if you heard that whistling. I'm going to do an overhead guide on how to set this up, which took me way longer than it should have, which is the theme to most of my projects. This one should be pretty simple. We have our Meaker Masterkey or Skeleton Key. I'm going to attach some tubing. We'll probably have to mess around with that a little bit to get just the right length. I know it took a little bit of messing around for me on this other rubber band build. We'll show a measurement of what length works well. We'll mount this on our blaster and we'll do some tests. Here we go. We don't need very much tubing. I feel like the pull of this is similar-ish to this other Meaker build. So I'm going to start with I will admit, I can be a little bit wasteful when it comes to cutting off pieces. I don't want to be too short. I mean, that should be way more than I need. Even being able to tie off extra. Oh, it's too much. I'm doing it anyway. I'll give you a good measurement when I'm done, and I'll give you a link to it. If you get some of this tubing, you won't have to be so wasteful like me. This is the part where I am kind of silly for a minute, trying to figure out what goes where. Oh, yes. So, very cool. So we will be around here. Yeah, we'll be around here, and then we'll tie it inside. Very, very similar. Very, very similar to our other little blaster. Neat designs are simple designs. So when we're tying this, we want to stretch this a good amount. Oh yeah, I should have definitely gone shorter. Let me just see here. Every square is an inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have almost 8 inches of tubing here, and I feel like it probably could have been, if when it's tied, I want it to be like that. Yeah, I have almost 8 inches of tubing. It probably, you won't have room to tie it. It probably could have been 5 and still been fine. Anyway, not a big deal, but I mean, we don't want to be too wasteful, because if we have all this tubing, we can make a whole bunch of blasters. And this one is such a neat one to make for kids, or it could be a cool party favor. I mean, make sure with whatever you're doing, you're looking up the rights to the files. I know for this one, if you're kind of making them for yourself or a few in your household, pretty sure they're all covered under the one license. If you're selling them or anything, you can't do that. You have to purchase additional licensing. So I do have I've printed out a few of these in some different fun colors. The kids have all the fun colors, but only within my household. I just like to mention that because people are doing lots of cool stuff, and they should get something out of it. All right. That might work. So stretch all these out so we can get this knot as tight as possible. We'll trim this down after. Let's see. Oh, yeah. That seems pretty good. Oh, didn't do that very evenly. Let's try again. Kind of blocking it. Yeah. Let's try it with a dart. And that'll be mounted underneath. It's a little hard when you're... Oh. I might need to do that a little tighter, although that was a kind of a weird launch as well. How are we looking if I'm comparing these? That Mega Dart, also, that Mega Dart is a lot heavier. The other little Meaker blaster is just firing regular darts. So I think if I didn't tie this too tight, I'm going to untie it and retie it tighter. I ruined my snips the other day. I couldn't find my pliers. I really wanted to bend a tab, and I used these. I don't know. Sometimes you just make a decision, and you're halfway through your bad decision, and you know it's a bad decision, and you just, there's nowhere to go but forward. All right, cool. All right, I think that works pretty good. I thought it would be cool to mount this to my Ultra 2. I thought that would be really, really neat. Make sure I put it on the right way, which would be this way. I did find it's very, very, very snug. Some of that might be my printer tolerances and everything. I am going to lubricate this a bit just to get it on. I could reprint it. I could sand it. I mean, I think we would want a really good friction fit. I don't know. Someone might be seeing this and think, why would you do that? But I'm doing it. Whatever. Yeah, I want it to be snug, but not that snug. I mean, I feel like I probably could have scaled it up a percentage or two, maybe, and had it still, everything still work okay. But we'll do this. Well, once this goes on, it's going to be tough to get off. All right, I think that's as far as that's as far as we can go because of the rail. I actually think that is really cool. I love the idea of a pistol like this with a little Masterkey underneath it, or skeleton key, as Meaker calls it. I'm gonna load this blaster up and show you guys some test firing. Sugar. We came untied, and now my hands are greasy. No. Talk about waste. I feel like I'm going to end up cutting another piece. Now I can do it. Always make sure your knot is off to the side. We are learning together, aren't we? I feel like I should have done a few test shots before I cut it down. I was so worried about wastage And now I'm wasting a bunch. Interestingly enough, I haven't really had this problem with any of the other ones. Not sure what I'm doing wrong here. I mean, it literally could be that I lubricated the Masterkey and got a little bit of grease on my fingers and transferred it over to the rubber band. It really could be. There. This time, even though it can kind of interfere, I'm just gonna leave it for now, and we're gonna do some test shots. That wasn't too bad actually. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why I didn't why I double tied this before. Yeah, that's a little too easy to. I feel like that's about the same. That's about the same as this one. And I mean, I'm firing a Mega Dart, so it should be a little bit more snug. Boy, I thought this would be a simple one. That is definitely more snug. Definitely close quarters busting. That's okay, that's pretty good. I'm gonna tie this. I'm gonna tie a little double knot in this. Tighten this up as much as I can. Tie a double knot in it. And then I'm not gonna snip it yet. I think I'll just tie like a couple loose things like this so it doesn't get in its own way. I feel like that's about as tight as I can make that. So definitely not a performance monster, as you'll see, but it's pretty cool. Oh, that worked great. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about it. I'm gonna put in one more dart. I'm going to prime this, stop talking about it, and show you guys how it works. All right, so let's show you what priming the skeleton key looks like. You basically are going to just want to pull this rubber band back, catch it on here, drop your round in the front like so, and then underneath here, I guess find however's comfortable. I think for me, I'll kind of do one of these moves as I'm supporting the blaster, or you could, you'll figure out what works for you. I'm going to use kind of this finger here, so supporting the blaster, and then you push up on this, it'll come off of here and fire out your dart. So let's do a little firing demo. Pretty neat. I'm going to do another one. And you can play around quite a bit, I think, with the tension of this. I took a couple stabs at it. This seems to be working pretty good. I would probably do something to try to secure this a little better. I kind of wonder if my tension has slipped a little bit from playing with it. So I'm going to angle up a little bit because it is essentially this. Just as an example, let's see this one in action firing an Elite. Pretty good, right? For a little handheld like this, using rubber bands. This one's been used quite a bit, actually. I mean, I'm not hitting any targets, but I don't hit targets that often anyway. Same idea. Obviously, we're not quite getting as much oomph. There's maybe a different grade of tubing I could use too, but I actually think this works pretty good. You're going to be using this fairly close range, I think. Like, that's pretty good. I missed the target, but I probably would have hit a person. Not bad. Let's do one more for fun. not something you're priming incredibly quickly. I'm pretty happy with that. For something that could be printed in a few hours, I think it was under 6 hours for me, and slid onto an end strike rail. This is pretty neat. I'll put a link to the tubing that I'm using underneath. I'll put a link to the files that you can get from Meaker. What a cool thing that in a short amount of time, my favorite blaster now has a master key. Until next time. So cool. I should have busted that shield first. Next time.